What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to an all-new episode of TAETRO Talks. It's been so long, and I'm so happy to be back here with you all to do a call-in show. I'm so stoked. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. But I see a lot of you here in the chat already, and that's really great. If you don't know, today's show, like I mentioned, is a call-in show where you can call in and ask your questions about music production, life as an artist, creativity, motivation, all that good stuff. So I'm dropping the Zoom link in both chats, and I say both chats because I am also monitoring the 343 Labs chat because this show is brought to you by 343 TV, which has daily live streaming about music production with some really fantastic music production instructors and Ableton certified trainers. So on Mondays on 343 TV, you've got tips and tricks with Claire Marie Lim, aka Daltrick, Ableton certified trainer. She does all different Ableton tips and tricks, which is really cool. Tuesday is my talk show, of course. On Wednesdays, we've got Lewis Beck, who's doing electronic music essentials, so he'll be on tomorrow. Theory Thursday with Max Wild. He's doing dives into different genres, the theory behind different genres. So if you want to learn about that, you can check that out. And then what else? That's Thursday. Fridays, Abe Duque's Production Playhouse. He does the news. He does all kinds of stuff about music production. Checks out plugins, checks out DAWs, different music production techniques, all that good stuff. Saturdays with John Selway, Selway's Techno Saturdays. And then we've also got this monthly show happening on Sundays, which is a sample challenge, which is happening kind of in our Discord channel, which you can join, or Discord server, which you can join with the link in the description. And I'll talk more about that later. But thank you all for hanging out today. We're going to do a super tight hour because I got to jump right at 11. So if you do want to call, here's how it works. You click that Zoom link that I put into the chat, and you are in a waiting room. So you don't get put on immediately, so there's nothing to be nervous about. Also, I just take calls via audio, so people can just hear you. They won't be able to see you. So if you feel like self-conscious about that, no worries there. And we just chat for a little bit. No pressure. We can just talk about any of your questions that you might have. We've got a couple people in the waiting room already, so that's really cool. I'll try to take them in the order as they appear. And let's say hello to some folks who are actually in the chat real quick before we start taking some calls. I see Superman. Superman says, I couldn't catch a TAETRO stream for 2 weeks straight, so going to be here. Awesome. Then we have Not Grommen, Tiago, what's up? Fisher, Delirium, my dad's here, great. Nate Robertson, what's going on? Jonathan Mueller, hello. Mr. Ducky Beats, my mom is here. The Biking Journey, hello. Ray Calvin, Samuel Messiah is already actually in the waiting room too. Tobias, John H. Kingston from Rockaway Park, New York. JS Road, Wonder Man. 343 Labs is in the chat, of course. Curtis Lewis, Ethan Isles, Fisher Anderson, which I think I already said. Jamie89, Enigmatic Onion. Armando Terrazas. Pascal, what's going on? I'm running so much time. There's so much time. I can only name so many people. Rashane is here. I'm sorry if I'm missing people. Alan, Yale, Usama, the Chilled Fox. So many people in the chat. I'm so stoked. If you're debating whether or not to join the call, yes, Ethan, you should join the call. It's no pressure. Even if you just want to chat and say hi, talk about a couple things that you are that are on your mind. A couple people asking, how do you call in? You can check the link both in my chat and in the 343 Labs chat. There's a Zoom link, so you got to have Zoom. You could use your phone, your computer, whatever it may be. Join and just be patient because you'll get put into a waiting room, but I will take your call this hour if we're able to fit it in the hour. Without further ado, should we take some calls? Oh, what do you guys think of this exclusive 343 Labs hoodie, by the way? Nice folks at 343 Labs sent us all cool hoodies. Abe Duque in the 343 Labs chat. What's good, Abe? All right, I'm going to start taking some calls anyway. I got Jojo Thomas. Now, it's important that when I take all your calls that you make sure you mute the stream, or else we'll get like a weird feedback situation. Also, as we do take our first call from Jojo, please let me know how the levels are in chat, if you can hear the voice okay, and all that good stuff. And before you call in, make sure your mic is set up. Jojo, it looks like you're set up and good to go. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, hello, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
Great.
Awesome.
Okay.
What's your question today? Actually, where are you calling in from, first and foremost?
I'm calling from India.
Amazing. Thank you for calling into the show. What's your question today?
See, I think I'm a beginner in this whole music production item. So I was just going through your videos, and I was having this basic doubt. Like you are creating beats and music, right? So is that happening only in Ableton Live, or can we do that in other DAWs or something? Like you haven't said anything other than Ableton in most of your videos. So I was having the doubt, a basic doubt regarding that. I hope
Totally.
that it's not a stupid question.
No, it's not a stupid question at all. I think
Thank you.
every DAW and every music software has its own nuances, has its own capabilities, some of them unique and some of them not so unique. So what I'll say about Ableton Live, and the reason you only see me work with Ableton Live on my channel is just because that's like my DAW of choice, and I don't really go and try other DAWs. I started using it at a pretty young age, like when I was still in high school, and then I've just used it ever since. So I've used it for like over 10 years. The reason that I was drawn to Ableton Live, though, is it's really in the name, Live, right? It's the whole name of the software. And that, I would say, is something that makes it unique from a lot of other DAWs, because what ultimately happens is a lot of DAWs focus on a linear timeline. So they focus on like you're going to sit down and write a song, and it has a beginning and it has a middle and it has an end, and it exists in the confines of that time. And what I found was, as I started creating beats and electronic music, was that's not really how I worked. I worked in like almost like a sketchpad workflow where I'd come up with different musical ideas and I'd interchange them. So that's the different loops and stuff that you hear in my music, right? And
Yeah.
what happens is in linear timelines, you're kind of like forced into that song format of like being linear in over time. And in Ableton Live, you're not set to that. There are two views. There's the session view, which is everything I've just been talking about with loops and sketches and ideas. And that's how that works. And then there's also an arrangement view where you can work on a timeline. And I just found that that was really unique to Ableton Live, and the flexibility within that I really was drawn to. I was also really drawn to a lot of the sound libraries that are available for Ableton Live. But that said, Ableton Live can be like a very expensive DAW for some people, and there are other options out there that do similar things. So now you see stuff like Logic, which has like a loop view that's very, very similar to Ableton Live's session view. And other DAWs all the same, and I'm not that well educated in other DAWs. But to just put a cap on that, what I do is not only possible in Ableton Live. I'm sure it's possible in other DAWs. And what I will say is, if you are trying to figure out what DAW you to use, you should try as many as possible, first of all, but you should also look into the artists that you really like. You should find interviews or behind the scenes studio footage of them and figure out what are they using. If you can figure that out, because obviously the artists that you love are the artists you want to emulate. And if they're using a specific tool, then it's likely you want to use the same tools as them. That said, try a bunch of different software, different workflows. You'll find you'll be drawn to some more than others, and just experiment for yourself. Don't ever look at like somebody on YouTube, like me or other artists, and say like, oh, he only uses this, so I have to use that. It doesn't have to work out that way. Figure out kind of what you're drawn to, but also do draw influence from your inspirations, I guess. Does that answer your question?
Great, great, great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much for calling in, man. Do it again soon.
Thank you. Sure.
Have a good one.
Nice day.
Great first call. Yes. And as I go through the calls today, everybody, I will try to take some questions from the chat. I'll prioritize call-ins though. But thank you all. I would love to hear like what's all your DAW of choice. Bing's talking about Reaper. Reaper was actually the first DAW I ever used because I was doing more like singer-songwriter band stuff. So working on that linear timeline made sense because we were writing songs and we were recording like multi-track recordings, and Reaper was free at the time, I believe. So that was really cool. Should we take another call? Let's get Ethan in here. Ethan, who was debating whether or not to join, has joined us today. Now, sometimes it doesn't automatically connect your mic, so just check your sound settings in the bottom left. Make sure your mic isn't muted. Make sure you have a microphone. Ethan, thank you for calling into the show today.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. Amazing. Well, thanks so much for calling in. And what's your question today? I know you were debating whether or not to call in, so thank you for actually calling.
Yeah, a bit nervous.
Yes, no worries.
I was just wondering, what is there any plugins you'd recommend, like a start plugin, maybe like your first plugin, maybe? to get, what would be your favorite?
Well, it's hard to say. That's such a broad question because there are all sorts of plugins. There's like instrument plugins, then there's audio effects. Do you have like, what are you looking to do? Like, what kind of plugin you looking for?
I like Native Instruments stuff. So is there any?
Oh
of those
yeah,
ones?
Native Instruments is great. I find myself using Lo-Fi Glow. Now I get confused with like Native Instruments because there's like sound packs like within plugins and stuff. So if I mess that up, forgive me. But Lo-Fi Glow is a big one. I really love that one as well. Kinetic Toys is great. Kinetic Toys has some really unique sounds in it. Also, there's a couple vocal ones. I'm forgetting. I'm going to do a quick Google search right now. There's a couple very ambient vocal plugins that give off kind of like a Blade Runner kind of vibe. I want to say one is called, I'm blanking here. Oh, Straylight. That's what it's called. Straylight is very, very cool. Also, like a lot of this stuff is included in Complete, the latest Complete, I believe. I mean, I have Complete and there's so many sounds in it. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but you have so many options, which is really cool. Also, there is a pack which is really interesting because it's a third-party pack, and I think it's one of the only third parties on Native Instruments. It's called Auras. You should look that up. It's by Slate and Ash. So if you check that out, Slate and Ash, Auras. I'm into like really like ambient, like I don't know, like atmospheric kind of sounds. So those are like my biggest recommendations. You got any Native Instruments gear, or are you just using the plugins?
No, just plugins. I was thinking of saving up for one of the machines though.
Totally. Yeah, if you like,
cool.
what DAW are you using the Native Instruments plugins in?
Logic, but
cool.
I don't know if it's the best. It's just the one I had because
hey, the one that you have is the best, you know? Yeah. And if you like just watch a bunch of Machina videos, because if you like the Native Instruments plugins and you end up liking that workflow, Machina almost becomes a DAW in itself. So even if you're not like super enthusiastic about Logic, working in Machina is like super great. What kind of music do you make?
Well, I like quite a broad range of stuff. Like I play guitar a lot. But
awesome.
I've tried making more, similar, like ambient maybe, because I like the sound you make a lot. It's really cool.
Cool. Well, thanks. Well, and like, don't like, I know I asked like what kind of music do you make, but don't feel like you have to pigeonhole yourself. Make a bunch of music. I mean, you all see me. Everybody sees me make like beats and like kind of like trap influence, hip hop influence almost. But I do like there's stuff that you guys don't see that I also make like atmospheric and also do some songwriting. Like I make a bunch of different kinds of music. Don't feel like you have to be stuck in one genre or anything. But cool, man. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for checking in, Ethan. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Good question. And my plan, folks, is to do more live streams coming up. I want to next week get on a regular schedule. So if there are particular plugins people are interested in, I can basically do a whole stream on a plugin and just trying it out and testing the sounds and making beats with it. That's my plan. Let's get Chris James in here. Jambient is my jam, says Bing. That's I like that genre name. Complete is so expensive. I wish there was a subscription model. That's a good point. A lot of people don't like subscription models, but it does help mitigate the cost. Chris James, you're live on the air. How's it going?
Hey, not too bad. I'm actually using my friend's account here, though. My name is not Chris James.
Oh, what's your name?
Terry.
Hi, Terry. Terry, your audio quality is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm using Shure SM58 running through a audio interface here, so I'm using a microphone to talk with you. So hopefully it does sound good. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, where are you calling in from, Terry?
I'm in Genesee, Idaho.
Oh, very cool. I just did a road trip across the country, and we did a southern route, so we didn't cut through Idaho. But the next time I'm going to drive across the country, I'll definitely do a northern route and hopefully cut through potato country, right?
Yeah, you're not supposed to be traveling really right now, though, with the quarantine.
True, and we're not going to travel that much more, but we found that traveling in the van, like, it was much safer because we came in contact with basically nobody.
Yeah, if you can just travel and drive around and not contact anyone,
exactly.
I think that's very safe as well. What kind of mic are you working with there?
I have got a Shure SM7B. Now, that's what everybody on the stream is hearing, but for these Zoom calls, it's just my MacBook mic, so it probably doesn't sound as good for you as it's going to sound on the stream.
Yeah, of course I can tell. Yeah, I know how that is though. You got such
Routing.
a cool setup there. I'll be honest, I'm a tech head. I'm a huge tech head.
Same.
Obsessed with technology, and you're a musician, right? I actually have a song.
Oh,
that
nice.
They made for me. I'm not a musician, but they made a song for me because I'm such a tech head, and it goes like Terry loves tech, and it's
that could be your theme song if you ever start a YouTube channel.
You got it. That could be my theme song. And hey, why don't we play it right now?
Oh, here we go.
It did play. We put it in post. It's not. It won't be
perfect.
showing up.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what kind of? So you got your microphone there. What kind of headphones you working with?
I got the JBL Club One headphones. These were. I did a job with JBL. I did some photo content for them, so they sent me these headphones. Full disclosure, but they are some of my favorite headphones. They're very, very bassy. They also have Bluetooth capability, noise canceling, all that. I love these headphones. Super clear.
That's so cool that you're so involved in tech, that the tech people will send you tech. This is honestly, can I be honest with you? You basically seem to live my dream life. I'm looking around your setup looks so
gadgets.
Cool. Everything, the gadgets, all of it. It just looks
right.
It's honestly it's too much for me. I cannot even barely handle it. Like behind you got your keyboards and all that stuff set up, and the lighting is amazing. Your video looks amazing. I call so many horrible shows that they got no idea what's going on with their tech, no idea what's going on with the audio, no idea what's going on with the video. It's awful to watch. This is a breath of fresh air. I genuinely mean that. And thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Let's talk about that for a minute, like what you were talking about before. First of all, I have thoughts about like how people still can't figure out how to run a live stream show in what is it, January of 2021, when we've been basically in quarantine for months and months. So people should have this figured out by now. But that aside, I want to talk about like what you said about like living the dream, like whatever, like having all this tech and tech companies reaching out, because I think that's important for like the broader audience to talk about. Because I could have never imagined this when I first started this YouTube channel, right? Like it's so crazy. I started out just as a person who like really liked gear, like really liked MIDI controllers, really liked making music. And eventually one day, one of my videos with a bunch of Novation gear got shared by Novation on Facebook, right? And then I end up being connected with them. They just reached out and said, hey, can we share this video? I said, yeah, great. Then when it came time for the Novation circuit to come out, they were like, hey, we'd love to send you this Novation circuit and you can make some content and let us know what you think. And, you know, it wasn't a paid experience. It was just like, let us send you some gear. And that was like my first taste, right? And then it's sort of just started to snowball with, okay, then, you know, companies similar to Novation.
Yeah, and then someone sent you this, and then Blue sent you the snowball.
Well, yeah, not specifically Blue, but yeah, it's exactly
joke.
Like that.
That's just a funny joke. I was a tech joke because that's a type of a microphone as well.
Yeah, totally.
So
I had a Yeti for years, so I know that. But
I hate the Yeti.
It's very sensitive.
It's too sensitive, and I also hate USB mics in general. I think that I don't think you can use a USB mic in this day and age. I really don't. I know you might disagree with me, but I'm anti-USB microphone.
Yeah, I think it depends on people's setups. I think generally you get a lot more quality out of like, you know, an XLR and an interface. But yeah. I think for a lot of people, the capabilities of a USB mic are great with the right processing. I think processing has a lot to do with that. But I'll sum up my point real quick about the like brand deals and stuff. What that means for you all out there is like if you like really love something and you're really passionate about something, and I would not call myself an expert by any means in music production, in controllers, I mean, whatever. There's people way smarter than me, way smarter people like on 343 TV. All the other instructors are super qualified and like super smart, and you should tune into their shows. They're much more qualified than I am on some of this tech stuff. But what I was really passionate about all this stuff. I learned to make videos about it, and I learned to just share my opinion and my take. And what ended up happening was it grew into, you know, this channel where now these brands reach out and send gear. And then it grew beyond the channel because I also have an Instagram page, right? Like it's great because if you can create amazing content and you become quote unquote an influencer in the space, meaning that people listen to your opinion on certain things, then that gives you a lot of leverage. And you can actually, you called it like, oh, it's your dream or whatever. Like if you're super, and we joked about you having a YouTube channel, but if you are passionate about that and you just start and you do that and you're consistent and you continually increase your quality, you can make it happen.
I don't think I could do a YouTube channel in all fair. I mean,
it's not for everybody, but I just put it out there to the world. Like if you all are passionate about something, like give it a shot. Like if you all see a bunch of stuff that you really want and you want to build something for yourself, it's definitely one of the best avenues, I think, currently.
Well, hey, this was a true pleasure talking to you. Like I said, I don't know that I have it in me to start a YouTube channel, but I think I definitely will probably try to maybe contact some different businesses and try to give me some free stuff, perhaps. But this was truly a wonderful conversation. Thank you for respecting tech. Thank you for loving tech, and thank you for showing it the respect it deserves. And you have a wonderful day.
You too, Terry. Thank you so much for calling in. Bye. Last comment I'll make, and this is based on like what Terry just said, but he signed off, so I just want to address it. Like people think that you just reach out to brands, and it doesn't really work like that, because imagine like you want free stuff, I want free stuff. It doesn't even work for me half the time. Brands got to find you. So that's where building up an audience and building a platform really comes in handy, because if you build up a big platform and you build up a name for yourself and you draw a lot of attention, brands and people like that will take notice. So that's how it happens. Like you will not find much luck reaching out to brands directly. Building up your platform over time, all that good stuff, that's what works. As Superman says, I mean, you got a YouTuber's voice, Terry. He's not wrong. Actually, on that note, let's take Superman's call. Superman with a V, I should say. Let's do it. Thank you all for tuning in to 343 TV. I see John Selway in the 343 Labs chat. Hello, John. I see Jim in the 343 Labs chat. Y'all should tune in to John's show on Saturday. So it's Techno Saturdays. It's always a good time. Make sure you tune in. That said, if you are watching on my channel currently while Superman figures out his mic situation, just make sure your audio device is connected. If you all are watching on youtube.com/TAETRO, take a minute and go to youtube.com/343labs and just hit subscribe. Turn notifications on so that you know when the show goes live each day. It goes live at the same time every day, but you might forget to tune into another show besides TAETRO Talks, and I think you all will take a lot of value from it. And the instructors are putting in a lot of work into planning their streams and all that good stuff. Superman, I think we're having trouble connecting via audio, so I'm going to put you back in the waiting room for now. So just make sure you figure out your audio device, and then I will bring you back into the chat. Maybe after this next call. Lakshit, let's bring you in. Is 343 Labs from you or no? So I work as the creative director at 343 Labs. So like, kind of like overseeing, like hovering over the whole 343 TV project. I do a lot of the video content with them, general branding and strategy and communications, stuff like that. So that's the connection. Lakshit, how's it going?
It's going great.
Thank you so much for joining. I'm great. Thank you for asking. What's going on? What's your question today?
Actually, I don't have any question. I have some requests. Like,
let's hear it.
I recently got FL Studio demo version because I couldn't afford it. So I got it and I started working. So the problem is I started this. I got this Vital that wave table, and
sure.
I wanted to create my own, I wanted to start designing sounds, but it was too complicated. So I really can you just make some videos on that?
I can try. What I'll say is I am not a sound designer by any means. I do work on some sample packs, but I can make a suggestion for you. Is John Selway, who's actually in the 343 Labs chat right now, has a show every Saturday. Selway's Techno Saturdays, and he doesn't always do sound design, but he has got a couple of great sound design tutorials on our channel on youtube.com/343labs. He's a master sound designer, and just watching him and having filmed him work on some stuff before, I learned a lot just from being involved in that process. But I would say tune into his show on Saturday because he does a lot with sound design and different plugins and all that good stuff. And he's a mastermind at that. Also, just peruse around the 343 Labs channel because there's a lot more technical sound design tutorials there that you probably won't see from me because that's not my level of expertise. I'm a very sample-based producer, I would say. Like I work a lot with samples, whereas there's lots of other producers and musicians and electronic musicians specifically that work in sound design. So I work, for instance, like John Selway was showing me something at one point. He worked on a video or something. I forget what it was, but my first inclination is, I want a string sound. Let me go grab a sample, or let me find a sample-based instrument to get that string sound. And he was just like, no. You could just grab this tension synthesizer in Ableton Live. I think I'm getting that right. And like, here's how you create the sound. And just like in like 5 seconds can just totally like recreate any sound. So I can understand like your frustration in thinking that it's super complicated working in sound design. However, you can learn it. John Selway makes it super accessible. He's also got a class on sound design if it's something you want to check out. But 343 Labs YouTube channel and also John Selway's stream on Saturdays. Check that out. That's my suggestion for you.
Thank you. And I want to ask, like, I want like to do that acoustic treatment and all. So,
sure.
Like, can you tell about some like panels which will be best for like these things and like a little bit affordable?
Sure. Well, I don't know much. I don't have a specific brand in mind. I've never paid too much mind into acoustic treatment or things, but treating your room is really important. I know that. I am a bad example of that. In this room right here, I have virtually no treatment. The most that I can tell you is you want to avoid some parallel walls. If you're talking about like, because we mentioned with the DAW, you're like, I got this version because I can't afford whatever. If that is the case, and you are like strapped for cash, I don't know that acoustic treatment is actually the thing to invest your money in, because you probably can get some other tools. You're probably working in headphones a lot. You're probably not in a permanent studio space, and a lot of like in home studio situations, a lot of acoustic issues can be mitigated, not solved, not perfected, but can be solved by, like placement of furniture in the room that helps absorb the sound and make things less parallel. Hanging things on the wall, like moving blankets or blankets in general. Having like a clothing rack with a bunch of clothes on it that's going to help absorb some sound. So like if you're strapped for cash and you want to save some money, I would say don't invest too much in the acoustic treatment stuff yet, because the stuff you're going to be able to get at an affordable price is not going to be that great. And also you can mitigate some issues in your home studio with some practical stuff that's not necessarily acoustic treatment. You know what I mean? That's my perspective on that. And I know I'm not like an expert, and I'm not like a sound engineer who would probably tell you the room treatment is the most important thing. But for folks that are looking for something accessible and are looking to get the most bang for their buck, I would say that's my take on room treatment.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You too. Thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Oh, I cut him off. All right. We got more people waiting. We're at 10:30. Thank you all so much for hanging out here. Like I said earlier, 343 TV runs shows like every day, Monday through Saturday, with a monthly show on Sundays. Make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/343labs. We're live there right now, if you don't know. And John Selway is sharing some thoughts on sound mitigation. What am I trying to say? Soundproofing, not soundproofing. Room treatment is what I'm trying to say in the 343 Labs chat. So there are two parallel chats going on. Best external drive for music production. Well, I use these Lacy drives a lot because they're big and they're reliable. I also use, let me see if I can rip it off my computer here. It's Velcro to the computer, don't worry. This is a Samsung portable SSD. This is 1 terabyte. An SSD is much more expensive than something like this that has a spinning disk in it. This is 4 terabytes. This is 1 terabyte, and this is probably more expensive than this, or around the same price. But I've been recently putting all my plugins, like major plugins, like Native Instruments stuff, and samples on here, and it runs so fast. Even when I have to edit a quick video project, so much faster than this. But these are great for storage, and these are great for like stuff moving fast. Shall we continue with the calls? Good question in chat. Where is the 343 chat? At youtube.com/343labs. Go check it out. Let's get Fisher Anderson in here. Here we go. Yeah, we're streaming live on the 343 Labs channel, but then also other channels as well, on every other day as well. All right. Fisher, how's it going?
Pretty good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Thanks for calling into the show.
Cool. So I'm having trouble with MPC Beats
Sure.
by Akai. I you sign up to get the download email, but I've tried multiple times and the download emails never come. Do you know?
Dude, I had the same issue.
The answer, but
I actually, you're not alone in this. I don't necessarily have a solution. I recently worked on some content with Akai for the MPC-1, and then I did something with MPC Beats. I forget what it was. It was a stream for another outlet, I think. And I had the same exact problem. And I don't know what the issue is. I would, as soon as you can, contact customer support, shoot them a DM, like on Instagram or on Twitter or something, and hopefully they'll respond, because I had the same exact issue. But what I'll say is, like, stuff goes wrong like this, and like people tend to, like, the knee-jerk reaction is to like be mad or rude or whatever. And I'm not saying you're gonna do that at all, but I think like we gotta have empathy for these folks who, like, when there's a technical error, like they're having a nightmare day, and like it's not like personal, like it's happening to a lot of people, you know. But yeah, that happened to me as well. Yeah. I don't have an issue. I cannot remember how I resolved it, but do try to reach out to support ASAP and let them know that happened. Also, make sure you just check your spam folder or whatever. But I remember specifically having the same exact problem, so you're not alone.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What gear did you? What gear are you working with that you got the MPC Beats with?
Well, I watch every week. Usually, I watch Sanjay C's
nice
news thing. And he mentioned that just it was a few months ago, like MPC Beats was just
free
out. And do you need an Akai thing? Because that would be my problem if
you
don't actually have Akai gear, but I don't.
Yeah, I just mentioned it because I know it comes bundled with a lot of Akai gear, so I was wondering if you got it as a bundle. Sanjay C's show's great, isn't it? He mentions he's like hooks everybody up. He tells you all the free plugins, all that good stuff. He's so cool.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I don't have an Akai thing. I just wanted the MPC Beats because it seemed cool.
All right. Yeah, it is cool. Awesome. Well, good luck using that, thanks. And hopefully you get that figured out.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much, Fisher.
Thanks. Bye.
Peace. Yeah, sometimes bad stuff happens, you know? Sometimes technical issues pop up. We can't yell at these people, though. They're trying to work on it. They're not... Of course, they want their people to be able to download their software. It's nothing personal. I think I just see it a lot in comments, right? Like people reacting to different companies in not so nice ways, you know. Let's cut them some slack and let's approach it from a point of like, okay, they didn't want this to happen either, and they're not doing anything specifically to me. Yes. And Wes Meister said, I had the same issue, but it came 3 days later. Yeah, that's interesting. Doesn't make sense. That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. And Karen Calra says, make an account first. I just solved it today. So try to make an Akai account if you're still listening, Fisher. Maybe you've done that already, maybe not. So plugins don't get installed on your computer. They are kept in the place you install them from. So you can run plugins off of a hard drive for sure. Like you can put all your, because Native Instruments stuff is huge. Like there's no way I could keep all that on my computer. I think that's the correct way of saying it. The plugins are on the hard drive. I'm sure there's something on the computer like the Native Instruments like launcher or drivers or whatever. But then like all the big files and data are on the drive. Let's keep it rolling. Aaron Nelson. Superman, I'm going to pull you up next. Hopefully you have your mic situation all figured out. As long as Aaron is able to join. Brew Knows says, after seeing so many of your YouTube videos using the Akai MPK, YouTube decided to recommend the live stream too. So now I subbed. Thank you so much, Brew Knows. Welcome. This is a call-in show. This is different. Sometimes we do live streams where we're making music and all that stuff. So thank you for subbing and thanks for tuning in. Aaron, how's it going?
Hey, what's happening, man?
I'm chilling. Welcome to the stream. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from Winona, Texas.
Amazing. Well, welcome to the stream. What's your question?
Well, so yeah, I've really been gotten into Ableton, you know, and I kind of started, you know, I'm like on a super budget, you know. I'm a little older, I got kids, so my cash flow is not as fluid. So I started with Cakewalk and from BandLab.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I got you know, I got to be pretty proficient with that. Then I got a hold of Ableton after I bought my mini lab from Arturia.
Totally.
And so I started messing with it and I loved it. So the question that I have though is like, you know, I make beats like you make also, you know, to kind of get out of my head and just mess around. But like my main bread and butter is more like songwriting with guitars and drums and mixing everything together. So I've been messing with the session view and doing like follow action and everything like that. Yeah. But really, I'm starting to wonder, would it be better to, you know, just jump right into the arrangement view and record record an entire guitar track that way, and then jump back to session view, and then try to, you know, mix my drums and maybe a bass line, because I don't, you know, I'm using my mini lab, MIDI for that mostly.
Yeah, I hear you.
All that.
And it's both, I think.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's kind of both. It's like if you're like in a session and you're just writing and you're just making beats and you're just chilling, session view is great for that. If you are like approaching it from that more traditional situation though, like, and you are doing some songwriting with like guitar, drums, all that, I think arrangement is the way to go. But that doesn't mean you can't start in session and then move to arrangement. So say you've only got like one real section planned out and you come up with like a killer verse or a killer like hook section that's got guitar, bass, drums, all that, and you lay all that out in session view, you can grab those clips and drag them over into arrangement view. And when you bring them over, you can, you know, place them in whatever order you want, and then you can work from there. So say you plan out like, you know, a 16 bar section and you want to move on to bar 17 and beyond, then my workflow would be like, okay, just start working exclusively in arrangement view. What I don't like is to flip flop back and forth between each. So my general workflow when I'm working the way that you talked about, like more traditional, like linear writing, is to start in session view and build those main sections, even if like, you know, scene 1 is the verse, scene 2 is the pre-chorus, scene 3 is the chorus, etc. If I build all that up in session view, great. Right. Then just click and drag those clips, put them into arrangement view, you know, duplicate them as necessary, and then start arranging. And what I often find is like in session view, it's really hard for me to like come up with B sections or like, you know, like contrasting different sections that go further than my initial loops do. So what I find is once I end up in arrangement view, I stay in arrangement view, because if I get to bar, you know, 32 or whatever, and I'm like, okay, it's time for a new section, I can very clearly see that, okay, I need a new section. I need it to last 8 bars or 16 bars, and I'm going to work right within that. And using those brackets in arrangement view, you can loop whatever section of music you want. You can loop those bars. You can loop the 8 or 16 bars that you're in. So it almost gives you a pseudo like a session view kind of workflow, loop workflow within arrangement view. So that's my thing. I don't like to jump back and forth once I've gone into arrangement view, but starting in session view and moving to arrangement view is like my number one recommendation for the way it sounds like you're working.
Right. And like what you mentioned about those I don't know, transitions, I guess, where you go from one, you kind of have like 16 bars of like, say, a verse, you know, or a verse and a chorus or something. But then you got another, you have another part of the song that you may need to transition to that's not, you know, it's different from your first 16 bars. And that's kind of like where my biggest issue is trying to, in the session view, I can't get that transition to match up the way I want. So,
absolutely.
Like going back to arrangement view, you know, recording all of that and like you said, dragging and dropping, and then if I need to make that transition, just straight recording into arrangement and then continue with the drag and drop or or loops or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
especially if you're not like
so cool. That kind of gives me some ideas.
Yeah, especially if you're not performing with the track, like getting into arrangement view. Like if I were you, if you're not like performing like with all these loops running or whatever, and you're just straight up recording, like I wouldn't bother with follow actions and all that. I would just go right into the arrangement view. And like think about this, like really listen to the music that you like and that you're kind of trying to emulate or that you're taking inspiration from, and really listen to the techniques that they use when they transition sections, when they go into different sections. Listen to what they do. Like depending on what genre you're listening, it's different, but a lot of time in electronic music you hear risers or you hear filter cutoffs, or like in rock music and pop music you hear drum fills and stuff. Like sometimes you hear a drum fill that happens on the last bar of a verse, but if you had that running as a loop in Ableton, that drum fill would happen every time. You know what I mean? And that doesn't make sense. So in arrangement view, you can take your initial drum loop and then take that last bar of, it's bar 16 and this section's about to end, and you can just take the very last bar of that section and add a fill that only happens right there. That's something that is more challenging to do in session view when you're working with the loops. So like when you start thinking of it that way, it makes a lot of sense.
Right. All right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, TAETRO, and you do great work. I love what you do. So
thanks so much, man.
up, man.
I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You bet. Yeah. You take care, man.
Peace. Yes. Good question. It's tough because a lot of people come from other DAWs. A lot of like Aaron, like a lot of people come from DAWs that are linear, and then jumping into something like Ableton that the first screen that you see is session view, which is kind of like bold for Ableton to do with live, because no other DAW really looks like that, and it can be jarring for some people. And even myself, an Ableton Live user, like almost exclusively, I do find it challenging to work in loops and create dynamic arrangements, because you get caught up in the loop and you get stuck. And what happens to our brains when we keep listening to a loop over and over again is like it becomes very hard to break from that loop and create a contrasting section and feel like it actually sounds good, because we're so used to listening to things looping and looping and looping. But go listen to any music that you love. I mean, a lot of music now is loop based and can, carry a lot of similar music ideas throughout the whole thing. But if you go listen to some more interesting arrangements and arrangements that have contrasting sections, you will hear that it is indeed possible. So that was a great call. Let's see if we can get Superman in here with the audio and all that stuff. XMVRCUS says, thoughts on GarageBand? If you can't afford Ableton, great. GarageBand is great. You should use whatever you can afford. It's no use like wondering like what's the best software or whatever. Get the best that you can afford and look at what your inspirations are using. Superman, you've made it.
Yo, what's up?
What is up? How is it going?
I'm doing pretty fucking great today. I didn't catch my stream, but I'm calling in from Memphis. I'm an Ableton user. I love Ableton.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Been here all my life, but been using Ableton for about a year now. It's the only DAW I've been using since I started my little journey. My question for you today is, distro kits. I've been trying to find distributors. Okay, I'm
totally
tongue exam, but I'm trying to find, like, I see you've got the whole thing down because you've got your things on Spotify, iTunes. So I'm taking this from like somebody who's already walked the lane, getting his music on these sites, because I want to show the world more of my music besides just posting them on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, totally.
Which obviously, but not enough.
I hear you.
So I'm trying to find like the right distributors, or like how does it go in the process of getting one?
Yeah.
Because I only know like main two ones, DistroKid and CD Baby, but I know there's more.
Yeah, there's tons more. So the one I use is DistroKid, and full disclosure for everybody in all the stream, they've sponsored a couple videos before. But what I will say is I was using DistroKid way before they ever reached out to like sponsor video and anything. And then there's also stuff like you mentioned, CD Baby, there's TuneCore. And like, I think this seems like a very mysterious thing, distributing your music, getting it onto the platforms and stuff. It seems like very like complicated and like a very mysterious step, but it's really super simple. And the most basic way I can break it down is it's like no different than uploading your music to SoundCloud. The only difference is usually at a distributor, you have to pay. And that the reason for that is they're delivering it to all these streaming stores or whatever. So they provide that service. And what I'll say, the reason I choose DistroKid over other distributors is because many other distributors work where you have to pay for each release. So every time you want to release a single or every time you want to release an album, you pay per release. With DistroKid, it's a yearly annual subscription. And throughout that entire year, you can upload as much music as you want. And they're usually very fast with getting it to the stores. They have lots of cool options, like you can add a Spotify canvas, which is like that little like video that plays when you play a song on Spotify. They're really clued into a lot of cool stuff. And that's why, I mean, they didn't have that when I first started working with them. But the main reason I did choose DistroKid over other distributors is that model of paying an annual subscription and uploading your music as much as possible. But I want to come back to something you said. You want to get your music out there and you want more people to hear it, et cetera, et cetera. I want to be super like honest with you. Like just getting your music onto these streaming sites does not mean more people will hear it.
I understand that. I'm just trying to put them on more sites for so they stream and all that.
Right. And you're on the right track. You want it to be in as many places as possible because you want to make it as easy for the listener as possible. But I will say, like, for you as a musician, build up your brand, like build up that YouTube channel and do more than just release music. Talk to the camera, talk a little bit about your life, your experience, always relate it back to you as a musician and all that stuff. But build up your artist identity because just like people are super into like vloggers and stuff who are not necessarily artists, but just make videos, like people get attached and get like parasocial relationships with online personalities. And for a musician, when you actually have something to promote and you actually create art, that is really useful if you can create that brand identity and create that relationship with a community on the internet, because then every time you go to release something, you have an audience to talk to. That's why I think that's super valuable for musicians. And then exactly like you're talking about, having it on iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, whatever the stores are, on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, like that's stuff that you could do with that stuff that it gets delivered to with DistroKid and other distributors as well. So you're on the right track. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, it pretty much was.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for calling in, man.
No problem.
Peace. Yeah, I actually had somebody else called in or messaged me about that the other day. Distributors. It seems like a super mysterious, scary process, but it's really not. It's just like uploading your music to SoundCloud. Only thing is, you got to put some money down. Yeah, Nacho likes this hoodie. Okay. Who do we got next? It's time for a really important segment with a community member who calls in all the time and is consistent. He's young. He's scrappy. He knows what to do. Take it away, Samuel.
Hello, everyone. This is my segment, Samuel Says.
Samuel, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Hope the new year will be better than last year.
We can only go up, is what I thought. And then, okay, anyway. But Samuel, how are you doing? How is the new year treating you?
I mean, like, I have went down in efficiency and I have been spending a bit less time on music production, but I feel like I've reached that point where it's like I'm at the base of what would be like a beat maker, I guess.
Sure. Okay. I like that.
Most basic point.
Yes. And what do you think brings you to that conclusion? Are you just feeling like your workflow, like you have a solid, like basic workflow down? You kind of are developing systems for yourself. You're creating more. Like what's making you define yourself that way?
I feel like I can really I'm confident in my music, but I have developed like a self-consciousness about releasing my music, and that's basically since Beattober, I haven't been releasing that much, or quote unquote releasing.
Sure. I hear that. I mean, Beattober was That's the beauty of Beatober, is like it was this full challenge. It was supposed to show you what you're capable of. And I think understanding that, it gives you a good frame of reference. Because like if you did just like recently have a holiday vacation or something, you want to play it cool, you want to chill out, you want to experience other things. You're also super young. So like productivity doesn't necessarily have to be your like main driving thing. You should also be like living your life as a kid and all that stuff. But hopefully from the Beatober challenge, you understand what you're capable of. So you know that anytime you want to sit down and make something, you kind of know that you can. Whereas before people do challenges like that, they kind of have doubts about what they're actually capable of. But the challenge is supposed to help you with that.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm thinking of like investing for my first time in a plugin.
What plugin?
Like, I'm thinking of one of the like isotope elements plugins.
Sure. Like you're thinking about like your mixing and mastering?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. I mean, that's a good investment because it's not like, I mean, like lots of plugins are a good investment, right? But like buying plugins that are like instruments or that are like trendy and like super specific to a genre or something, maybe you'll fall out of love with that genre, or maybe you won't want to use that instrument in a year from now. But with the isotope stuff that you're mentioning and mixing and mastering, you'll always want to get your recordings and your tracks to sound at a professional level. So that's a great investment. I think you should do it.
But I like, from the other point of view, I feel like I just want to buy a plugin to encourage me to create more. Like, I don't know if it would just be my driving force, or if it's actually going to help me in my workflow.
There's nothing that you can buy that is going to motivate you. There's nothing that you can buy that's going to make you want to work more. The only thing that does is it trains your brain to think that way, to think, if I buy this thing, I'll be more productive. If I just get this piece of gear, I'll make more tracks. If I get this plugin, I'll finally be able to XYZ. That is a trap. Everybody who's watching the stream right now, and Samuel, you're included in this, you all have enough with what you've got. Like, people have made big records with far less than any of us have, you know? So we can't like live that way. Even though I did just say, like, yes, that plugin is a good investment, do not buy that plugin with the thought that it's going to make you more productive or it's going to motivate you to make more music or whatever. It's not. It might for like the first week that you get it. Every time we get a new thing, right? The first day that we get it, the first week that we get it, we're like, yeah, this is great. New shiny thing, amazing. And then that week goes away and we fall back into our old habits, or we start thinking about the next new shiny thing that we're going to get. And we tell ourselves that if we get the next new shiny thing, that we'll do more. It's a trap, Samuel. You're smarter than that. Come on.
But I feel like I used all the plugins, all the resources I have.
Good. So, but then you just told me, Then you just told me that you were like not being as productive and that you've kind of taken a break and The productivity comes from you. If you just told me that you have all the stuff that you need and you're using all the stuff that you need well, then you don't need something else to motivate you. The motivation comes from you. It doesn't come from buying a new thing. Imagine that like at scale. Then like every week, every month, you need a new thing to stay productive. That's not any way to live as a sustainable artist, you know?
Yeah. I mean, actually, the comparison with the scale is very interesting. Never thought of that.
I mean, you just end up like, that's how people end up with piles of stuff in their house that they don't use. That's how people end up in debt with cars that they don't need or with whatever, you know, like that. This is a human issue. If you look at things, I learned this from Sarah, the instrumentalist, on one of our chats, one of our interviews. She talked about coming from an abundance mindset versus a deficit mindset, which we're always trained to be in a deficit mindset, meaning like, oh, I can't do this because I don't have this thing. But if you start approaching every day, and it's not easy, like this is not an easy mindset to approach your life with because we've been trained other ways. But if you start training your brain to think in the abundance mindset of like, I have enough, I have everything that I need. I don't need to choose to market to myself. I don't need to choose to go peruse and find something to buy. I have enough. If you kind of repeat that as a mantra to yourself, you will motivate yourself. You know all the stuff that you have and all the stuff you can create with, like you know that you don't need a plugin to motivate you. If you want to get a plugin to increase the quality of your productions, great. But don't buy a plugin that because you think it's going to make you more productive.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
Yes.
Okay, next thing.
Quickly.
I'm making a MIDI controller.
You're making a MIDI controller?
Yeah.
I have it.
Yeah.
I have some in. I might want to get involved as an investor. So tell me more.
No, it's just a DIY project, like not some major thing.
But with funding, it could be a major thing. So tell me more.
So basically, I was watching this video by a guy on YouTube, and he made a controller for like Premiere. Adobe Premiere.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it, and I could transfer those same principles to Ableton.
Interesting. What hardware are you going to use?
I'm thinking of getting a computer keyboard, and you know how keyboard mapping works.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll connect some of the contacts and then map the key to like a function in Ableton,
mm-hmm.
like recording in arrangement view, because like my launch key, for example, it only records in session view. Like the record button only works for session view. I tried it in arrangement view, it doesn't work. So yeah, that's my main driving force.
Amazing. Samuel, I'm working on a similar project. I have to let you all in on the secret. I'm working on something over here at Team TAETRO, and it sounds very similar to something that you're working on. So
interesting.
I'm gonna clue you in on it offline eventually when we have something, the prototype built and all that. But yes, all right. I don't want to give away too much on that. And but do you have a final thoughts, my friend? Because I have got to sign off in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, didn't see that one coming. Anyways, one of those faceplant moments just came a few days ago. Or actually, no, today. I found out the pitch, like the pitch MIDI thing. The pitch knob.
Yes.
In Ableton.
Yes.
It's like a MIDI effect. Yeah, I just discovered it today, and I used to do it with I used to bring in the sample to sampler, and I used to put glide on, and then I used to play the sample like on 1C and then on the octave under it.
Yikes.
It's a very bad way to do a pitch drop.
That's so
but
funny.
It worked.
Yeah, the way we figure out how to do things before we actually know how to do them, like that's how you learn the most, I think. Like the janky ways you try to work around things because you don't know the proper way to do it. Like you'll learn more from trying to figure that stuff out than like actually knowing how to do something. I feel you. I've had moments like that too.
Oh, really?
Yes, of course. We all have moments like that. But Samuel,
you have to sign off.
I gotta sign off. Thank you so much for calling in. We'll do this again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Have a good one, my friend.
This has been Samuel. Have a good one.
Hey. All right. I know that there's people in the waiting room, and I'm very sorry that I cannot take your call. We got to do a tight hour today, but we will be doing call-in shows in the future. So thank you all. Jonathan, Arciller, Karan, thank you. I'm sorry I cannot take your calls today, but I will in the future. I apologize. We're tight for time today, which is unique. Sometimes we go long. More streams are coming, though. So we will be doing more streams regularly, probably starting next week. Channel memberships are coming, et cetera, et cetera. If you have general music production questions or like you're looking to just learn more about music production, 343 Labs is streaming every day through Saturday on their channel, youtube.com/343labs, which is where we're streaming right now in addition to my channel. So just go subscribe to that channel. There's some really amazing instructors. They're all the actual instructors from the school. Very, very smart people. A lot of Ableton certified trainers, beatport charting music producers, all that good stuff. We've got a Discord server for 343 Labs where we'll be doing a sample challenge with Ableton certified trainer Atropolis on the last Sunday of the month. So if you want to get that sample and you want to get involved with that, make sure you join the server, and we'll be posting there very soon. There's also other stuff happening in the server as well. The link is in the description. But yeah, this has been a great show. I appreciate you all for hanging out today. I hope you all took some value from today's calls. I also put up some of the most interesting and most applicable to everybody calls onto my podcast feed, TAETRO Radio. So if you listen to podcasts and you want, to continue the knowledge and continue this vibe, go to your favorite podcast app and just type in TAETRO Radio, and you can find my interviews, and you can also find some of the best calls from call-in shows. And we are adding to that more regularly in the coming week. I thank you all so much. Working on a couple new videos, including a new sample pack. Lots of good stuff. Are you ever going to start a Discord server for yourself? Jonathan Mueller, I actually do have a Discord server. It's going to be linked to the memberships when the memberships launch. Yeah, all that good stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been a great stream. How do I end this again? I didn't even show you guys, but I added this wide cam, this like way high up top cam, in addition to like, this camera that's right here hanging above me. But that's cool. But yeah. Thank you all so much for hanging out. See you next time on the stream. Make sure you subscribe, like the stream. If you have a chance, share it with somebody who might find it helpful. Make sure you subscribe, not only subscribe, but turn the bell on so you know when I go live. Sometimes I won't announce it, and that you know when I post a new video. Same thing goes for youtube.com/343labs. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.
Thank you.